We have to start with lemons. So we're going to boil 3 whole lemons. I'm going to put them right in a pot of water. You bring the water to a boil, you cover, and you allow those lemons to cook for about 45 minutes to 50 minutes. You want to start with large lemons because lemons in Sicily are as big as grapefruits. So here we have some sliced almonds, and I'm going to put them into a food processor. You want to leave some texture, so that looks pretty good. See? It's kind of fine, but still has a little bit of texture. This is the kind of cake that is great for an afternoon tea. It's kind of dense, very dense tasting. And as I said, the lemons in Italy are much, much sweeter than ours. So what I've done with this recipe is adjust the amount of sugar that I added. So I added more sugar because our lemons tend to be much more sour than Sicilian lemons. So once you have the pan nicely greased with butter, then you want to add a sheet of parchment paper. You can just buy these rounds in any bake store. So you put a sheet of parchment paper in the base and you butter that. Look how soft they are. And we're using everything. So you take the lemons, once they're cool, just chop them coarsely. Here's the sugar. We put the top back on, and we want to get this almost to like a mousse consistency. So you let it go. So now we can take this out and put it into a bowl. And you see how thick that is. See? It's almost moussey-like. We want to separate the yolks from the whites. And these you can find anywhere in a little kitchen store. So there's 5, and here's our last one. And this is what's going to lighten this cake for us. All right, let's beat up those yolks and add some sugar. We need about a cup of sugar. You want to add that gradually into the yolks so that it's well incorporated. That occasionally you have to stop the machine and wipe down the sides to make sure that all that sugar is in the bottom of the bowl and not in the top. That out. And here's that almond mixture. And to this I'm going to add some baking powder and a little salt. And this egg mixture, the egg yolks. And you'll notice that there really is no other fat in this cake besides the yolks. I mean, where is the butter? There's no butter in here except for the butter that we used to grease the pan. So it's a very unusual cake. And then you're going to lighten this batter by whipping those whites and folding them into the almonds. So let's stop this now. Let me show you where we are. Let me get a spatula. So here we have egg whites. Beautiful, see? So you want to take a little bit at a time. And this is where I really think of my mom. Whenever I do this technique of folding from the bottom to the top. And she would always tell me, you know, you cannot rush this process because if you do, you're going to deflate all of the work that you did. So you have to just be very patient, very gentle, and get that mixture incorporated. And as you do, you see it's just kind of lightening up this batter. And it goes. And now it's ready for the oven. Now we are going to make candied lemons. And to do that, you want to start with a cup of water and a cup of sugar. And you put it in a pot and stir the sugar into the water over low heat to begin with until that sugar dissolves. So you put them in and try to keep them in a single layer if you can, so use a wide enough pot. And over medium heat, you allow these to cook, as I said, until that liquid really reduces down to about a third. And once those lemons are really cooked into that syrup, they now have concentrated flavor. And the next thing I do is dip them, when they're cool, into some coarse sugar. And once you have them in the coarse sugar, you put them on a grate or a rack, and you let them dry. To make the glaze, we want to use a cup of confectioner's sugar. So here we have some confectioner's sugar in a bowl, and I'm going to whisk in some milk. You could use cream for this if you wanted to, or water. You could use lemon juice to carry out that whole theme. So you want to make kind of a glazy consistency, so you have to control the amount of liquid that you put in here. So I get it to the point where I can feel that it's stiff against my, my whisk. And now what I'm going to do is, see, I want a nice flow like that off the whisk. See? I'm going to add this, which reminds me so much of Sicily. I open the cap and I'm back there because it has so many wonderful citrus flavors. It's called fiore di Sicilia, so the flower of Sicily. So I add, you just don't need a lot, just a little dribble, maybe a quarter of a teaspoon, and that gives you an enhanced citrus flavor. You can find that in a kitchenware store or online. So now it's looking good. I'm going to give it just a tad more milk, not much. That's good. And that's going to be enough to glaze the top of that almond lemon cake. Put it over that cake and let it go with a light touch, the back of a spoon. Just let it find its own path on the top of the cake. And if it dribbles down the side, all the better. And this just reminds me so much of what you would see in a pasticceria in Sicily.